sour note, the Warriors have committed 15.7 turnovers per 100 possessions, which is the high rate in the playoffs.
But when you're getting an extra point on almost every shot
it doesn't
taking, you can afford them sometimes.
All right, Iguodala, Harrison Barnes, and Andrew Bogut all rank in the top 5 field goal percentage in the restricted area, minimum 25 attempts.
Because they've only took 25 over the whole playoffs in the restricted area. Andrew Bogut was a rebounding machine, though, against Houston.
Yeah.
He was a rebounding machine. What did he have, 18 and like a half?
He was killing them, man.
Again, and I'm like, dang. But their best center's the other guy, though.
Right.
I forgot his name.
The center, Steve is Zealy.
Yeah, Zealy. Yeah.
Zealy.
Who Jeff Van Gundy said could start on 4,000 other teams and should be starting center on 4,000 other teams.
Oh, Jeff Van Gundy.
I love him.
All right, some of the Cavs
Is he
notes.
doing the finals?
He is.
Thank God.
And if you didn't hear, your boy is going to be on the finals as well.
Oh, yeah, Dwayne Wade's going to be doing the
there,
final
so
stuff.
I'm sure.
At the studio, right?
Yeah,
he's going to be
he's going to be in the studio helping out. So, all right, now some of the Cavs, they have held their opponents to effective field goal percentage of 41.5%.
He'll be the only guy He'll be the only guy on the show with a ring.
Oh, the lowest rate in the postseason.
Yeah,
probably. They're the only team that held his opponents under 30% from the 3-point range. The Cavs are the best offensive rebounding team in the playoffs, having grabbed 28.5% of the available offensive rebounds. Cavs are also the best first-half team in the playoffs, outscoring their opponents by 15.2 per 100 possessions, but that probably be because you play
garbage
Boston and Atlanta, but I will digress and keep moving.
Garbage.
Tristan Thompson had grabbed 13.4
garbage
percent of available offensive rebound, the best rate among players who have played at least 8 playoff games in 2 rounds. Moscow ranks third at 12.1%. That's pretty much it I got for the Cavs. Now, the season...
You forgot the most important stat for the Cavs.
What you got?
Dellavedova hurts people at a rate of at least one person a series.
Now, the season series between these two...
You forgot that's the most important
We will talk about
He will roll on somebody's leg. Trevor Ariza already tried to take out Tristan Thompson with a flying knee to the head that he could have won the WWE Championship with.
We'll
How did that man bleed in from the ear and they go, oh, he don't got a concussion?
Oh, yeah, you talking about, Clay, that was a hard hit, man.
He had blood coming from his ear. Trevor Ariza could have pinned him.
Now, it is good that he's cleared to play because he is cleared to play the game.
Yeah, thank goodness.
All right, now the season series between these two, it was tied 1-1. Home team won both games. January 9th, Warriors 112, Cavs 94. February 26th, Cavs 110, Warriors 99. The pace was around 199 exactly. And Golden State Warriors off of the rating was 106, and Cleveland was 102.8. About, not too bad. Sorry for
Throw it all out of the window.
So, a little bit of notes for their matchup. Neither LeBron James or Amon Shumpert played in the first meeting. No Cavs lineup played in both games, and their current starting lineup displayed 1.3 minutes together in the second game. James scored 42 points on an effective field goal percentage of 68% and was plus 9 in 36 minutes. The Warriors reported 67 assists in 2 games, and the Cavs reported 28. Against all opponents,
shows you what was happening during that game.
Against all opponents, the Cavs took 32% of their shots from the restricted area. That number just 19%, 14 for 73, with Bogut on the floor, and 20% against Golden State overall. The Warriors shot 9 for 16 on corner threes. The Cavs shot 2 for 12. Irving shot 3 for 16 in the paint and 12 for 24 outside the paint. And Irving, is still bound to injury. I know he's been healed up a little bit, but
he still ain't 100%.
That's the trend to kind of look at.
And if it's his foot, he won't be 100%. Your foot never comes right back to 100% with just a little bit of rest on it.
Don't know if we'll see him this series, but David Lee's 27 total points with the most scored
against
any
there.
coming opponent. Yeah.
She knows all about her foot, not.
All right, and the Cavs scored less than 8 points per possession with 25 minutes with Iguodala and Shellington on the floor together for Golden State. All right, so I want to go into you and ask, because you kind of was going in before and we were discussing. No, you're good.
My bad.
Kevin is just feeling good. He has some root beer over here, so he's feeling good.
Root beer. Not Root beer.
He's not drinking on the podcast. I promise you, folks.
I should. It'd be more entertaining.
Oh Lord! All right. Well, so what's your first initial thought about this series, and what you think about the particular makeup of these teams then and now?
It should be a fun series. It should be. Golden State, much tougher road, as always, coming out of the West. Cleveland, I just think, had a lot of things go their way, even though they've had a lot of people hurt. They also had hurt a lot of other people. So they had it where they kind of had their way. They kind of grinded out. I thought Chicago, this would have been the year that Chicago could have took them, but Chicago just fluttered away. And then those last games, they just acted like they didn't care anymore, and they were just ready to get it over with and just go home. And then Atlanta couldn't get over Game 3. If Atlanta would have won Game 3, I think it would have been a different series, and I think the tide would have kind of switched to Atlanta. But then when you got guys getting rolled over, and people throwing people's elbows and stuff like that during games and stuff, and you're taking their best player out of games, which to me was just stupid. He should have never been kicked out of that game, and I didn't get to talk about that one before. That's why I'm mentioning it now.
Go for it.
So he shouldn't have got kicked out of the game, and Atlanta could have turned that whole thing around with just one game, because they were in almost every game after that too. But that game sucked the life out of them just because you got Kyle Korver got rolled up on. Al Horford was getting rolled up on until Al Horford had enough and dropped the elbow. And I don't like cheap players. You wasn't taught when the ball goes on the ground, grab it, look to where the guy's knee is, and then try to roll. You were taught to just grab it and get rid of it. You weren't taught to roll. He rolled on every single guy that he caught a ball near. And it's cheap and dirty, and it's going to happen during this series sometime. The thing is, who's it going to happen to, and what's the retaliation going to be?
Draymond Green.
Because I was about to say that. I would not want to do anything to a team to where Draymond Green was on it. That'd be like trying to roll on Marcus Smart's leg and not think he ain't going to beat the holy punk out of you.
Yeah. I agree. My initial thought about this series is the routes that both teams took to get here. I have been very outspoken about how weak the East is.
And here's another thing. Talking about out Cleveland's, where everybody's like, well, they were given the road that they were taking and everything like that. Would Cleveland have been able to go? We'll go back 2 years when Miami won the title against the Spurs the first time. Could Cleveland have gotten by a Chicago then, or that Pacer team that abuses, nails you, does everything? Could Cleveland, the way they were right now, gotten by that Cleveland team? No. They couldn't have got by that Cleveland team. Would they have even gotten out of the Eastern Conference Finals if Miami would have been healthy? If Miami would have had a complete healthy team, you added Hassan Whiteside, they got lucky when everybody got hurt. They got lucky when Chris Bosh went down, when people started getting hurt, when other guys from other teams got hurt, when it let in people like Brooklyn and all these other teams that it let in. They got lucky. And their road got so much easier. And if they would have had the road that Miami had a few years ago, this Cleveland team would have came nowhere near the finals. Nowhere near the finals.
Now, I think if Miami was, I still, my opinion, I still think they would have got to the Eastern Conference Finals, or they would have got to.
They would have met Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I think they would have got to the finals still. That's just how I'm looking at it. But regardless of that, I've been outspoken how bad the East is. I can speak bad about the East because I root for a team in the East. Okay,
and me too.
The East,
I can talk bad about them.
The East is bad.
But the East was bad. The East was bad because there was a lot of injuries to teams that you thought were going to be in the playoff. The teams you thought were going to be good and going to be in the playoff, a lot of things happened to where they didn't make the playoff.
Now, the only exception that I want to give credit to.
But Atlanta fell off like a brick.
The only exception I want to give to is Milwaukee. They had a young upcoming team. They did. Nobody expected
them to do what they did, especially without their best. Well, arguably, the guy that was probably going to be their best player.
Right. The Celtics. They made a run, had won the third best record after the All-Star break. Huge run, and they was gotten to the playoffs. Those teams are exemplary because they're young, rebuilding. But the rest of the East, I mean, Brooklyn Nets, holy moly, I don't want to even expand on them.
And then you had teams like the Pacers who were battling injuries. They were trying to get Paul George back in enough time to make that run, which they wasn't able to do. The Heat had Chris Bosh go down. So there was two of your bigger guns out of the East that were out of it because of injuries and because of stuff that happened. Mind you, Paul George's injury was for the whole year.
Yeah.
And mind you, Miami was the halfway point of the year, and then it went south after that because of injuries. But it was still just weird.
I cried when I watched the East Conference playoffs. It was beyond. It was just terrible to watch. And then the team, like I said, and I still pick Cleveland over Chicago. But I thought definitely when Love went down, Irving was having some issues with his foot, tendonitis. You
mean the injury prone Kyrie Irving that somebody told me wasn't injury prone?
The one
when they brought up the big picture of every single part of his body had one of them little points on.
Yeah. Just when Chicago had a door wide open.
Them. That was it.
Wide open. Chicago Bulls had if it was looking anywhere for Derrick Rose to even get to the NBA Finals,
it was a gate.
That was it.
It was a gate.
That was it. And they
into the Jurassic Park gate opening up, and you were able to walk through it. That's how big this gate was.
They did not take advantage. And then the Hawks come along. I don't want to say they're the worst number one seed ever because you got number one seed that lost in the first round. But good golly, man, you win 60-some games, and it's beyond me how you can get swept. I looked at Cleveland. I was like, okay, they're solid, but they're not this great team with the injuries they have right now. They're got of course an obvious great superstar in LeBron James, Allen, Kyrie Irving, and you got these injuries, and you still are able to make it to the NBA Finals with this team. Credit to LeBron for dragging that team all the way there. Dragging that team all the way there. But at the end, on the other side, the East is just bad, man. I don't want. I'm done talking about the East. Golden State, heck of a run. They came back from 1-2 against Memphis, the team that played a totally different style of ground and pound basketball. Two physical guys at the power forward and center position. That was the first time they really had adversity. This is a team that won 67-some games. That was the first time they ran into a brick wall and trying to figure out how to do this. Give credit to Steve Kerr. He did his job, got his team focused, and they was able to drive through this.
I'm trying to figure out what was it? I'm trying to figure out how to do it. It's because you wasted all your energy doing the promo.
Nah,
slow down. Take your time.
No, I'm
relax.
good. I'm good. I'm just
breathe. It was the first time they faced adversity. It was the first time they faced something that they were going to have to push through, and they were going to have to figure out a way around it. Steve Kerr did a great job of making adjustments to where he was able to throw different people at Memphis. That was when you saw him throwing in that Azili guy. That's when you started seeing them getting thrown in. They got a little bigger. He went a little bigger when he had Bogut and Azili in the game at the same time to go off with the try to. Now I'm all lost because I got people asking me.
Right. So that's why I say with this is definitely credit to that. Then they face a Rockets team who was James Harden, who was basically the other MVP candidate that was in the run, pretty much second place runner-up. And so that series I thought was going to be a classic. The first two games was great. Game 3 was a blowout. Game 4, and Game 5, it was over in 5. So to that, it was credit to Golden State handling business. They saw that Cleveland had wrapped it up.
Oh, and if I did any talking before then, I would have picked Golden State in 5, but I didn't do anything with them.
So, I'm